Yeah, now I'm confused because the hole in that is smaller than the pin. Hi, I'm Nigel, an engineer with over 30 years experience. Join me on my adventures as I build new, repair old and restore beauty. This is Bleeding Rust. So here we are back in the workshop, and the new improved walls, I must say it's much nicer coming into the workshop like that. Can't wait to get the rest of the walls painted, but that's for another episode. I've done a bit of tidying up, so I've made some room in the workshop because we've got our unboxing to do. So a little clue to what it is. I've been hinting since the last video. That's one of the banners. That's actually the make of the tool, Bailey International. And France Tool and Pro Marine. I'll put a link to them in the description below. Please do check them out. They've very kindly sponsored me for this very important tool. And it's right behind the camera. So I'm going to grab the camera now and I'm going to show you what we've got and reveal what it is. So here it is. One big crate, two boxes. The main tool's in the bottom crate, proper wooden crate, which we're going to have to get a crowbar and open. Two boxes. So what is it? It's a Bailey manually operated pipe bender, because when I make the two solar arches that I've mentioned, I need to be able to bend the pipe, but bend it really neatly, really tidy, no kinks, no where it flattens it, and a normal pipe bender won't do. It's got to be a type of pipe bender that has proper tooling, that draws it around, and that's what we have here. It's a very, very nice piece of kit. I've used one before, the exact same one. They may have changed since then. It was about 6 years ago, and it's one of the best pipe benders I've ever used. So I am really, really excited to get this unboxed and set up. Okay, we've got crowbar, hammer. We'll snip these first, being careful that they don't hit me in the face. Oh, well, they were tight. Ooh, it's going. This is exciting. Ta-da! That's it in there. So let's get this plastic off. I'll get rid of that. I'm absolutely chuffed. Cable ties holding that in. There we go. Release that. It's quite well packaged, which I'm glad about. Won't get it all scratched. So we'll put that down like that. Now then, there's one of the pins. See something, nuts and bolts there. I'm not seeing an instruction manual. Mind you, I do know how to use it, so you would have thought you'd have an instruction manual though, nevertheless. Maybe it's underneath. Take these pins out. The more weight I can take off it, the better. And that releases those. These are what hold the tube from sliding when it's in the bender. So it's now, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but it's bolted here, bolted there, and bolted there in 3 places. And then I think the only way to do it is I'm just going to have to manhandle, lift it out, and then potentially stand it on its end to get the base plate off. Then I should be able to stand it up. Right, so we've got a bit of cardboard. I think I can slide it this way. And it is very, very heavy. And I wonder if it'll stand up. It's incredibly heavy. Right. So that bolt's on there. If I can get that bolted on, I might be able to then just stand it up until it's on its stand then, and then we can see what we're working with. Right, so these are the bolts. Let's see what we've got. Right. So it's going to be a spring washer and a washer by the looks of it, so that they don't come loose. So let's roll it around. Spring washer goes on the outside, and then the idea of them, if you've not seen spring washers before, as it tightens up, that spring there, the split in that spring washer is compressed, and it keeps pressure then on it. So the idea is that this shouldn't be able to vibrate loose. They're not brilliant. They do work to a certain degree, but there are far better solutions to stopping bolts from coming loose with a Loctite, or there are better washer systems as well than spring washers. However, this won't be vibrating a lot. It's only being used, so I don't think they'll come loose at all. We have a spring for something or other, we'll find out, and an R-clip, and I haven't found an instruction manual. I've got a funny feeling it's one of those cases where there'll be a QR code and the manual will be online. That's what they all seem to do. Right, I've got the spanner, got my bolts. Let's get this base. And I'm hoping I can just at least get it started and get these on without it all falling over and being a big disaster. Oh, that's one. Get an opposite corner. Has it started? Yep, we're in. I often, when we get furniture, try and, like flat pack furniture at home, I often try and put it together without the manual as far as I can. And my wife don't understand why. Tried to explain it to her, and it's not about being awkward and trying to be more manly because you don't need the manual. It's about the challenge of seeing if you can put it together without the manual. It's like a puzzle. It's like, give me all the bits and I'll see if I can work out how they fit together. And invariably it goes wrong because you'll put part A and you'll fit this bit to that bit, only to find out that you've missed a step and it's now not possible to put the doors on, for example, because you didn't put the trim on first or something. So you do usually end up going back to the manual. It's something of an achievement, I think, if you manage to put something together without the manual. Maybe that's just me, but I bet I'm not the only one. Right, so this should drop down. Right. Make sure there's nothing anywhere that's going to trap my fingers. so we can get this stood up. Oh, get up. Oh boy, it is heavy. And there she is. Yeah, it's wobbly because the base plate has got a slight bend in it because it's meant to be bolted down to the ground. This, can I remember how that goes? Ah, yes, I can. I hope this comes through on the video. Now this is a release handle to release the ratchet system, because this works on a ratchet system and it's got 3 different levels here, and that's what this pin is. When you put the pin in, it's got low mode, medium and fast, and that way on really heavy thick tubing you can put it at its lowest gearing and it'll take you longer to do your bends as you're pulling round, but you're not straining yourself. So this has got a for the spring to hook onto, and there's also one underneath, so I'm pretty sure that goes through there, and I think it goes like that and then screws back onto there. And it was probably just because of packaging that they've not done it that way for transporting it. And that, yes, so that engages the ratchet, and then that disengages the ratchet. So which will come evident when we try this. And the reason it's got a nut on the back and threads in is so you can get it so it's still got enough looseness that you can do that, but won't come loose. So it looks like it's precarious and it's going to drop over, but it's not. You can see there, this spring hooks on there, and then I can get my fingers out of the way, hooks on there. Is now spring loaded. Right, now we're getting somewhere. So that handle you saw goes in there, so it gives you some purchase, and that puts it into free swinging mode. So what we'll do is let's get the pin in there. I think is this one. Now, so this little pointer here, so what you do is you can undo this little tab, set that to 0 because that's straight. I don't know if you can see that, I'll show you shortly, but that says 0 when you're pointing at 0. And then this handle here, it's currently off. You just engage that, engage the ratchet, and so now this is on the fast speed. As you pull, you disengage that one, don't you? And then that's in, and then that'll, and then you'd be at 45 degrees. So that's how that works. Right, so let's have a look at the tooling that goes in here and here. Okay, so let's unbox some of the tooling. Let's just try to, okay. So there's part of it. That's the main forming tool. This is the 38mm. Oh, and that is heavy, but that is beautifully machined. It's been stored for a while. I mean, no, it's a bit of just need to polish up, but that is beautifully machined. And it goes this way up, and you know that because you've got your 0 mark. So that mark is where you're going to start your bend from, and then it'll either bend this way or that way. So let's get this on the bender first, and then we'll look at the rest of the tooling, which is here, that fits in. Okay, so this is the main piece of the tooling. Take the pin out. That should go in there. Or not, as the case may be. Yeah, now I'm confused because the hole in that is smaller than the pin. Have I been sent the wrong tooling, or is it that bit that has, or does that go into there? This is where the manual comes in. And there's not even a QR code for the manual. So very disappointed there, I have to say. Aha! So, I think we're getting somewhere. I think this pin is the only one. It's a funny size, won't go in there. Won't go in there. It's too big for there, too small for there, but it's perfect for here. And that is where the main arm's swinging, which would make sense. That's the center point. So if you were screaming at your screen, saying it goes in the other one, then I do apologise. It took me a moment to just work it out. So that goes there. So let's get the rest of the tooling. Where's my snips? So this then does have that size, so that goes in there to match the diameter of the tube, which is that. So that's this pin. So that goes in there. That sets to 0. That sets to 0. Can't be right, can it? Aha, yes it is. And then it draws it around this way, doesn't it? So the tube's that way, I'm thinking. Then as you pull it, it's bringing it around here to give you your bend. So that's 0. And then should be another pin that goes in there, which I imagine is that one. So in the 0 position, your tube goes in here, and that's before you start a bend. It's held at this end, and then as you start ratcheting this, it actually turns the whole thing around here, and it's drawing, it's pulling the tube around and forming it round the forming piece, like so, like that. So that would be roughly 90 degrees would be there, and you'd have your 90-degree bend. But so I do not want the starting to position to be across the workshop, because I want to be able to put full length in, do a 90-degree bend. So imagine I'm doing a solar arch. I want to be able to have a bend and then coming down. So I might want, say, I don't know, a metre and a half, 2 metres, and then a bend, and then maybe 2.5 metres down to the floor. So I need to be able to put it lengthways in the workshop to make sure that I can put full lengths in. So that means for a starting position, I want this turning 90 degrees, the whole thing. So let's just, I want it like that, so that when I've got my tube, I put my tube in, and then it'll bend it like that. Now that means that my handle's going to be here, and I'm going to be cranking it to get me bend. So I also need it to be over that way a bit. Move that cardboard box. Okay. Very heavy. So, zeros there. Oh, it wants to be there. Need enough room. This is going to be very awkward, isn't it? Because there isn't too bad. So that's 0. Right, how much room? I might have to clear some of this stuff here, because this handle is really long. Right, so I've moved most of the stuff from here. I have actually only moved it to there. But all this has got to go into the rubbish yet, so that'll be out of the way. And this, I'm just trying to find somewhere for all this to go. For now, for the purposes of setting this up, making sure everything works all right, it's all right for now. I have now moved this over a little bit, because with the handling, slot that in, and I have checked it does stay up. I've not bolted it down yet. We're going to do that next. It does give me the room, because what happens is you move to there, it'll engage on the ratchet, and you pull back to here, and then you go back and it'll ratchet again, and then you keep going until you get to your 0 point, or to the angle that you want. So I could actually come a little bit further this way. The more room I have there to get past as I'm going in and out, is probably better. So let's get them. I need enough so I can get the handle off as well. So if I go to there, can I still get the handle out? Yes, so I can get the handle in. It doesn't catch anything. Got plenty of room. In fact, I could get the handle in there, and as long as I might come over and a bit more, you know, out there. Yeah, because I can put it to there to get the handle in and out. So that, for me, is working. So, probably have to move that, but right, let's take the handle off so it's a bit more stable. That's where it's going to live. Okay, so this is solid now. It's bolted down. Pleased with that. Let's get the handle in. And the way this now works, so I'm going to get some scrap tube, but just a demo. The tube goes in there, and I'll get some close-up shots of how it clamps it at this end. And then basically you activate the ratchet like that and there, and then it'll grip in, and it goes like that, and then so I am going to have to move this because it's in the bloody way. Typical. There for now. Right, so I've got a bit of, I had an offcut of the 38mm tube. This is what the solar arch is going to be made of. This is 1.5mm wall. Ideally it should be 2mm wall for bending like this, but we'll see how well it does. Need to load it in, it's going in that way. And then there's the lock on the other side. So I'm just going to put enough through to get that in position. Need to lock that in position. We're now at 0. And basically we're in position now. So when you want to do your bend, what you'd do is you'd put a mark on the tube where you want that bend to start, and then there's a little notch on this piece here which you would line them two up to, and that is where you would start your bend, and the bend then bends from that mark backwards. You've got to remember that. So let's put a bend in it and see how it does. So to engage that. So we're ready to go. We're at 0 at the moment. So now that's quite a bend. This is 38mm, so I'm going to reduce it to 2 clicks just to make it a bit easier. And that's much easier. 2 more. I'm not sure what angle I'm looking to go to. I think maybe 45. Let's go 45 and we'll see what it looks like. So if you can see the pipes there. It's already getting a bend and it's being formed around the tooling. So we're at 40 degrees, but you have to release to know exactly what angle you are at. You can see that says at the minute about 42. So if I was just put a bit of pressure on, release that, the spring comes out of the tube. So what we're actually at, you just feel its level. We're actually at about 37 degrees, not 45, because it will spring back. Especially stainless, more than mild because it's slightly harder. So re-engage the gears, and now we'll just get a bit more and we'll try and get it to 45 degrees. Now it says 45, but I know that it's more, it needs more than that. So I've took it to, it says 51 there, so I'm going to release that, let it spring off. And it should be, that should then be about 45 degrees. So what we can do now is release so it's freewheeling, and move this back to release it. Take the tube out and we'll see what it looks like. So there are some slight ripples in the tube in there, as you can see, that's formed. That's because this is only 1.5mm wall, and it needs to be 2mm wall minimum for bending with this degree of bend. We'll put it back in to where it wants to be. To where it was there. Yep. Re-engage the ratchets. On the other side. Right, we won't be far off for this test. Let's disengage that. Bring it back round. Right, so it's done the bend. I got as close as 90 there. You saw it at the end, and I was just pulling it, letting it spring back to where it felt. And yeah, and it's ended up at 90. As I get used to more bending, I'll know how far past the actual angle I want to get, you know, to account for the spring. The problem with that is that different materials, different thick wall thicknesses of tubing will all be different. But once let's say I'm making something out of a whole lot of the same stuff, I'll know how far past to go in order to get it right. And that'll be different for different angles as well. So the spring back from from a 45-degree angle will be a lot less than the spring back from a 90-degree. So this here, as you can see, is 90-degree. It's nice and sweeping. But it does have those mild ripples that you can see in the tube there. And that's because the wall, as it's drawing and pulling it round this former, isn't quite strong enough to resist rippling and kinking slightly. Having said that, other than that rippling there, I think it looks fabulous. Now, most solar arches won't be 90 degrees straight up and down like that. The tube's going to be coming inwards like this, and then that will be 90 that way. It'll be flat that way, should I say. And on the one that we're doing for Pro Marine, it'll actually be angled up slightly. So the top will be angled ever so slightly up and then back down again on the other side to make a sort of a roof, if you like. The reason for that is so that water and rain will run off the solar panels that are sat on top of the solar arch. Well, I am over the moon with this machine and how it's performed. There is the little ripples in there, slight ripples. Personally, I don't think it looks ugly, but this is only 1.3 milli wall, and they recommend 2 milli wall for making bends of this radius. We were aware of that because when I spoke to Tour France, who supplied the machine, their technical advisor there, who was absolutely brilliant, Christine, she advised that, you know, if you're going to be making bends in stainless of that diameter, unless, you know, you need a minimum of 2 mil wall thickness. So yeah, Christine was absolutely brilliant. So I will put a description to them in the box below. So please do check them out. You need any equipment. They don't just do bending machines, they do all sorts of stuff. And the customer service was amazing. They knocked a huge chunk off this to support the channel. So thank you to Tool France. And also thank you to Pro Marine Store, Ben at Pro Marine Store, who also has helped to finance this machine in some sponsorship. And it's the solar arch for Ben at Pro Marine, which will be the first project that I'll really be doing with this pipe bender. Another thank you is to Andy and Melissa and Jack at Sailing Melody, because they also put some money towards making this happen. I don't have a lot of spare cash, you know, and as you saw when I was doing the bench last week, trying to use what I've got. So in order to get a piece of equipment this good, which is needed, it's difficult. So all that help is just amazing, and it's very humbling. And again, thank you to all you guys who watch the channel, because without you guys watching, liking the videos and subscribing, the channel wouldn't be growing to the point where I can get sponsorship for things like this. So thank you so much. The way the channel's growing is blowing me away. That's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the unboxing. I enjoyed it. It's always great opening a box with a new tool in and putting it together and trying it. I'm super happy. So I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be back again next week with another episode. Until then, as always, take care.